Schalke are a giant in German football. Unfortunately, they're languishing in the second tier, and they have been for the last 3 seasons. They've also got terrible financial troubles too, and they almost bankrupted themselves. So if only there was a way to rebuild the club whilst also fixing the finances too. Introducing the Youth to Gold method. A way of playing Football Manager where I only buy teenagers and I do not use players 30 or above. So let's buy some talented teenagers and rebuild this fallen giant back on Football Manager. Looking at this Schalke team, and you'll notice one thing, including Edin Dzeko, their best player, there is a lot of players in their 30s or about to turn 30. In fact, Season 2 would require at least 11 players in total needing to be replaced, according to the Youth to Gold rules. But for now, in Season 1, we can enjoy the players we currently have, including Edin Dzeko, who will be a vital part to our team in trying to gain promotion back to the Bundesliga in Season 1. And to start off, our attempt to get out of the division will be through our 4-4-2 formation with Dzeko and Sila up front. And Sila is the perfect player to be up there with Edin Dzeko. Good pace and off the ball, and he started the season really well. Season 1 was still tough though, especially in the first half of the year, with Schalke only sat in 3rd place by Christmas and 8 points behind leaders Karlsruhe. However, the goals kept coming from the 2 strikers Sila and Dzeko, and certainly helped in the second part of the season, where my Schalke side finally began to stitch together a good run of league wins, including a 1-0 over Karlsruhe, but it wasn't the only wins that they were picking up either. We also managed to reach the quarter-final of the DFB Pokal, where after taking Leipzig to extra time with the score being 1-1 after 90 minutes, we scored the winner rather late on through a substitute Gomez. And we somehow beat yet another Bundesliga side in Stuttgart away from home 4-2 in the semi-final to go to the final. However, before the final was played, we secured the league title as champions by 9 points, gaining promotion back to the Bundesliga. The final of the DFB Pokal was against a 3rd Bundesliga side in Eintracht Frankfurt, and this was maybe one too many for us to overcome. We can still be hugely proud of our achievements this season though, reaching a final as a Tier 2 side, and either way, the promotion is the most important thing. We lost the DFB Pokal final 4-1, but now the toughest part of this rebuild begins, as we sell our 30-plus-year-old players and replace them with teenagers. There were 12 players who would need to leave the club, including 4 players who had played over 30 games this season, and with a very minimal budget of just a couple of million at the moment, it would be tough to replace. Now, the hardest part of this summer, of course, was getting rid of the players we needed to get rid of. But Edin Dzeko was one player who left on a free contract. He's still looking for a club. He hasn't actually decided to retire yet. I would have kept him around if it weren't for the fact we were doing a Youth to Gold. But the rest of the players that we managed to get rid of, we pretty much sold. We got £3.8 million. Now, the board actually gave us a nice £90 million budget. So we went out and we spent £23 million in total, but our first player, and possibly our best player, is Kovac, who is only on loan. Now, we couldn't get a mandatory fee to buy him. Unfortunately, AZ Alkmaar just considered him not for sale. So a loan move will do. Now, he's 6'6", resolute personality, great at jumping, great strength, good heading ability. That's Edin Dzeko's replacement straight away. I'm hoping him and Silla can really combine up front. The rest of the signings, though, I think this is a bit of a bargain, and maybe our best one. Carvalho for £3 million, who can play on that right-hand side, looks really, really solid, great physical attributes, again, good potential, but the balanced personality does worry me. And that's kind of the thing with the signings that we have made early on. I'm struggling to find players who you would consider to be good youngsters with decent personalities, with that high professionalism that would join us. Fairly determined personality doesn't suggest that he has high professionalism, which obviously means he might not actually progress even with game time. But this guy, Mentu, didn't cost us much at all. 825k, a bargain from HJK. Now, we've got a goalkeeper because I think it's important that we get an early goalkeeper with Youth to Gold. 19 years of age, Christian, and I'm not going to try and pronounce that. He's Austrian anyway. We got him from Red Bull Salzburg. Looks like a decent keeper. Again, a balanced personality though, but we'll see how he does. Now, we've got Atakila, who looks like a good centre-back option for us. £8.5 million, as well as Noah Kai Banks. This might be our best defender that we have got. And the one I actually have the most hope for, sort of flipping for big money. 41 to 48 million pound, his valuation now. 19 years of age, has more potential to come, hopefully. Great jumping reach. I think he got a bit of a buff recently, which was good in the winter update. And those are our 6 signings that we have managed to get this summer, with our 4-4-2 staying exactly the same going into Season 2. They started this season rather well, considering the amount that we had to change this summer too, winning our first home game of the season in the Veltins Arena 2-1 against Werder Bremen, with Kovacs and Silla combining well. And that was a good sign, but our main goal this season was to avoid relegation from the Bundesliga, survive the early days. And outside of a terrible run of losses through November and December, we were certainly doing that to begin with as we went into the winter break. And after 16 games, we were languishing close to the danger zone, just 2 points above the playoff spot. It was during Season 2 though where I began to knuckle down on the recruitment side of things. After all, now that we have more money being in the Bundesliga, we have more resources, and the board allowed me to have more scouts. Pairing that with the quality of scouts that we could attract, it made sense to begin distributing them across 1 to 3 different countries in Central Europe to begin with, looking for talented teenagers to potentially sign. And if all goes well this season, we can broaden our searches, bring more scouts in, and scout more countries next year. No heroics in the DFB Pokal this season though, as Borussia Dortmund dumped us out rather early, unfortunately. That did mean though that we would solely focus on the Bundesliga and our survival, and I really wish AZ Alkmaar had allowed us a mandatory buy option for Kovac, because he was crazy good this season, scoring 22 goals and getting 10 assists. He turned 20 in March, however, so once his loan deal ends, we cannot put in an offer to buy him, unfortunately. We claimed some massive points against Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, RB Leipzig, and even on the final day against Leverkusen, which helped us secure a lovely 13th place finish and away from the drop, while Leipzig actually won the Bundesliga. Just 3 players would need to leave the club due to age this summer, but there isn't much of a budget to replace them, unfortunately. A promising sign though is the amount of players who could be decent prospects with good potential that's already come through our youth intake academy. 3 players left the club this summer, with loads more being released. Only 2 players joined though, with our left midfield spot now being occupied by Alija Begovic, who signed from Salzburg for 9.5 million. The other was Giacomo Coloto, a Swiss striker from Basel, who hopefully will get the contributions that we will miss now from Kovac, going back to AZ Alkmaar. He scored 4 goals in his first 3 Bundesliga games, which was rather impressive. However, this also came with just 3 points from a potential 9. For now though, we were keeping the same tactic, as it hasn't let us down yet, and we haven't exactly improved the side with enough players to change the system either, and things did pick up as the season went on. We even got a massive 3-0 win against Bayern Munich being the highlight. Things were going really well for us in Season 3, as we were even creeping inside of the European spots in 6th place going into the winter break. And we are in the DFB Pokal quarter-finals with teams that, to be honest, I really fancy my chances beating. Second half of the season was much tougher, and I was very pleased with Silla, who got over the 20 goals mark for this season, but I was alarmed by our new boy Coloto, who after scoring 4 goals in 3 games, only managed to score 2 more goals all season despite playing 25 starts. I was disappointed too to get to the semi-final of the DFB Pokal and lose 1-0 to Erik ten Hag's St. Pauli side. And in the league, we just slipped out of the European positions, finishing in 7th place. I am still incredibly baffled by how Coloto's got 6 goals all season. What happened there? Because he played 25 starts as well. It wasn't like we weren't playing him. So I don't know. Has developed though, which is a little strange. 20 years of age, we'll give him another season, see how he does. If he isn't scoring any goals, we might have to do something about it. The rest of the team, I think, is developing really well. Nokai Banks is a solid centre-back for us. Gabriel Carvalho's really stepped up. 13 assists this season with 7 goals, and you can see he definitely got better as well, so I'm enjoying having him on that right-hand side. And Alija Begovic has done really well on the left-hand side, considering we sort of plonked him in there. We lost our left midfielder from last season because of age. He's done really well as well, so I think the development has certainly been there. I am really excited by some of these players that have come through in the under-19s though. You can see the amount of 5-star potential players that we have to work with. Obviously, they're not all going to be 5-star, but I mean, if they have good potential and good Personalities like this man, for instance, model citizen personality, we could be expecting some players to break into the first team. Clevis Mustafa, resolute personality, and he looks really good to begin with too. So as a centre-back there, that's come through the youth academy last season, that maybe I might look to loan out or keep playing and just keep developing until he is ready for a first team spot. For now though, £16 million with a very good wage budget going into Season 4. The summer of Season 4 seen a fair amount of players being loaned out, with 2 main departures totaling £2.1 million. The Inns, however, had 5 players coming in for £25.5 million, but one needs a bit of an explanation. Basically, Sato, who comes from FC Tokyo, is 21, but we got the deal done like 2 seasons ago. However, he's been on loan at Okayama for like 3 seasons, so I just forgot that I had signed him. He just... The deal was like £3 million as well. We could have really done with him, if I'm honest, because I remember signing him for that left midfield spot the season before we got Alija Begovic. So, yeah, now he's here now, but we did actually confirm the transfer when he was like 18 years old. The rest includes Diouf, who's right out on loan. Our first new gen in Vanja Baltic, who cost £4.3 million from Osijek and could be a great right back this season. Alexander Borgensen, who replaces Ron Schallenberg this year in centre mid for £10 million. And finally, Antonio Orenia, whose £8.5 million move is exciting me already, as he looks fantastic and has started the season really well. Scoring 2 goals and getting 3 assists in his first 3 games, but let's just hope he does better than Coloto did after I picked him up. I was right to be concerned about Orenia, but he proved me wrong as he continued to score throughout the season, and he even managed to bring out the best in Coloto as strike partner too, who also began scoring and assisting way more goals. More massive results against the big 2 as well, and it put us in a great position in the table as we're now looking on for Champions League spots and maybe even an outside chance of a title race halfway through the season. No luck with the DFB Pokal, however, as we gave up a 2-goal lead to lose 3-2 in the second round to Frankfurt. Results continue to go our way, and we even got yet another 3 points against Bayern Munich and a 2-1 win. And we somehow, 8 games after we last checked in, find ourselves top of the Bundesliga by 4 points and 8 above Bayern Munich. 2 bad losses followed though, which put a dampener on things until we pulled off 2 wins, ending in a 4-0 against Stuttgart, which bumped us back up 3 points above Leverkusen, who overtook us just on goal difference, until we won 4-0 of course. We had just 2 games to win and secure the title, and that's when we went 1-0 down to St. Pauli in the next match just 24 minutes in. Luckily, that gave us plenty of time to manage to correct things, and we scored through Orenia just 3 minutes later, and it took until the second half for another goal, but we ended up winning comfortably 5-1. The final game required to win was at home against Cologne, and thankfully it was much more comfortable as we scored through Atakala for the first goal in the first half and Becker from the left back in the second half, securing the league title for Schalke within 4 seasons within our very young side midway through our first rebuild in this youth to go. And what was just as pleasing was Coloto won the golden boot for the Bundesliga and scored 23 goals this season, while Orenia scored 20 with 16 assists. Both players are growing and developing really well and also getting it done on the pitch. It's been a great start for this youth to gold. Our mission is far from over here though, we are just beginning, so if you haven't done so yet, make sure you are not part of the 38% of people who haven't subscribed to these videos yet. Season 5 started off with some bad news as Coloto was snapped up for a very low £13 million release clause by Leipzig. Alright, so there's a lot of transfers to go through, so I'll try my best to be fast. But starting off, we got Aziz Zahorni, who from Casablanca looks like a really good player in midfield there. I've put him in the Schalke second team. That's the benefits of having a second team, by the way. We got Colby Ashby from Club America. Looks like a good goalkeeper from the USA. Again, he's gone in the Schalke second side. Axel Acosta, £9.5 million for a good centre midfielder. We are looking to replace the centre midfielders that we had, because a couple of them have had to leave the club due to age. So what we're doing now is making sure we've got a good squad of players. So he's one of them. We've got £5 million for Daniel Blecher. Another good goalkeeper. We've got a few good goalkeepers coming through. That's another one that we've got there. And he's not going to be the first choice goalkeeper. We've also bought a third for that in a second, I'll show you. you. Juddy Ngombo from PSV, £7.5 million. And again, I know I'm signing a lot of players. This is at the point of the Youth to Gold where I tend to sign a lot of players, where I get a good budget and I find all these players that are worth like 5 to 7 million, and I take loads of gambles. I mean, 6'5", he looks quite good for 19, but only a fairly determined personality, so we'll see, I guess, because I mean, he only cost me 7.5 million. 2.7 for this man, Marin, who I'm actually going to give some minutes to up front. I think he could be really good for us. The leadership's a bit of a weird one, but the rest of his attributes look really good. Resilient personality, I think that's quite good anyway. The final one on that page, though, from Colo Colo, which is one of my favourite clubs in South America. £2.3 million for Eduardo Palma. Good striker again. 6'4", only determined personality, again quite worrying, but has the potential to be good. And his value's gone up a little bit, which is also a good sign. Now, the goalkeeper situation. Mutsuki Fujimoto from Hiroshima. The only annoying thing, I know it's going to bug everybody, I gave him the number 7 shirt accidentally. All right, forgive me. But he is going to be my new number 1 this season for the goalkeeper. I want to give this guy a chance. Driven personality, I think. I mean, as a goalkeeper, he's really good because of communication, the agility, decision-making, concentration. He needs to work on his handling, doesn't he? The actual goalkeeping technicals needs work, but the base of it is there. Good positioning, reflexes are strong, great. We just need to give him game time, see if he can match his potential, hopefully. His value did go up a little bit, not as much as what I hoped. That's always a good sign, by the way. Let's go by price for this page. Montemaya from Cruz Azul is another centre midfielder that I think could be really good for us. Perfectionist personality. Again, if he gets minutes, and he's been getting them at the start of the season, he's also got a goal, we could be on to a quality player here. Because the last time I did a Youth to Go, my centre midfielders were so good that we were just easily going to stand a chance in every competition we played in because of how good our centre mids were. I need to find centre midfielders like that again. However, at right wing back, although we had Baltics who did very well last season, we've got Jose Arroyo here. He cost me £20 million from Racing Club, so you know he's got to be good, right? He's a right back. He can also play wing back or right midfield. Spirited personality does worry me slightly, but as an attacking fullback, and you never know, we might have the option to go free at the back and push wing backs, which I love doing. He could be really good for this, so that's one to keep an eye on. And then you don't normally see transfers from rival clubs. Borussia Dortmund and Schalke are rivals. I spent £32 million on Maximilian Wunderlich. Great German name from our rivals. My son's called Max, 19 years of age, as a defender. I think I had to do it. He looks great. Professional personality. The only downside, and it seems to be a problem with new gens come through for defenders, they're never that tall and they always have terrible jumping reach. Outside of that, though, he looks really good. So I think this could be a big pickup. And we are sticking with our 4-4-2. We just won the league with it. And we're locking in our centre midfielder, Montemaya, and we're locking in Wunderlich at left-sided of centre-back. Striker-wise, we had ourselves two lads battling for the Golden Boot, with both Arenya and Marin scoring 15 goals by the turn of the new year. And although we were out of the DFB Pokal, we of course had Champions League football to concentrate on, where fixtures were rather generous to us. We beat Inter Milan and Manchester United, but we struggled against teams like Betis, who I expected to do much better against. And we finished in 18th place, so we still qualified with 3 wins and 12 points. However, the knockout playoffs gave us a tough draw against Bayern Munich, who battered us in the second leg 5-0 and won 8-3 on aggregate. They were storming the league with Leipzig too, and we were already out of the title race by March and just had to push for those Champions League spots. With some very average form compared to last season, the next 2 months were really important for the next season. And we needed to better Stuttgart's last 3 games to finish in the Champions League qualification. It wasn't going to be easy with Dortmund in our penultimate fixture, and they beat us 1-0. With the other 2 fixtures ending in wins and 6 points, I thought we'd stand a chance, but Stuttgart beat us to 4th place by a single point. The main positive for this season was our strikers doing really well, and Arenya got the Golden Boot for 20 21 goals in the Bundesliga. The 21-year-old Italian is already turning into a big fan favourite of mine as he develops really well yet again this season. As was many other talents who had a good season too, but with the UEFA Champions League money came UEFA Champions League budgets, and the board have given us £72 million to recruit new talents this summer. Departures consisted of another £23 million being added to the budget, with a few loan deals too for first team football, and left-back Becker leaving for £9 million, with £105 million being spent on players joining the club and a few going straight into the first team, including Aldo de Schmet, who is an attacking midfield number 10 from Genk that we spent £30 million on. That might suggest we're changing our system. Portuguese centre midfielder Rui Lopes was the most expensive player for £48 million that we signed from Alverca. The rest are more gambles than anything, players who need development before we can look at giving them first team minutes and may be placed in our second team for now. Tactically though, I'm being very brave this season, and we are trying an incredibly attacking three at the back formation with a youngster from our academy in Clevis Mustafa in the strongest 11. And although you may think I've lost my head going this route so early on while players are still developing, it certainly paid off when we faced Bayern Munich on the second fixture of the season, as we beat them 3-2 with the new guy De Schmet scoring the winner. And with Europa League fixtures as well, this could be a very interesting season. Even with some tricky fixtures, we managed to beat the likes of Lazio and Benfica in the league phase to qualify in the top 8, which helps as we are sort of in a title race with Bayern Munich 4 points behind them at the moment. We also defeated Cologne in the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal in extra time, so there is a very outside chance that there's a treble this season. Back to the Europa League, and it's a great win in the round of 16 against Ajax to progress to the quarterfinals, where a very good Chelsea side awaits us. However, we would have to pull off a miracle after a bad 4-2 loss in the first leg against Chelsea, for which we were unable to do so as they defeated us 3-2 in the second leg also. It was better news for us in the DFB Pokal semi-final as we defeated Freiburg 4-2 to reach the final. But with some bad results in the Bundesliga, we were now 5 points behind Bayern Munich in the league with just 3 games remaining. The DFB Pokal was then the only opportunity of us managing to pick up a trophy this season, and our opponents Leverkusen were trying their best to stop that by taking an early lead, which we managed to pull back level very soon after. From that, it was the Schalke show, and our young 11 managed to continue the pressure throughout the first half and into the second, scoring 4 times in total and helping us to a DFB Pokal final win. All in all, it's not a bad season with Schalke finishing in second place, 5 points behind Bayern Munich, but 14 above Borussia Dortmund in third. So we've really opened up a gap. I'm really unsure though about this tactic. I do like the attacking midfield slot. I don't know whether we might maybe ditch the wings for this and bring it back into a 5 at the back, but we'll see, because we've got good options there. There's no doubt about it though, it does produce goals, and Antonio Arena got 36 of them this season alone, with 12 assists. He has been phenomenal. Marin did okay. I'm really unsure about him. After 2 seasons now of playing up front, I thought he'd score more goals than this. I really did, but he hasn't exactly developed into like a goal-scoring striker by the looks of it. Like, he's more of a deep-lying forward, isn't he, with that good passing, but yeah, even off the ball's only 13 and composure's 12. I don't think he's going to be good enough for a striker, in my opinion, anyway. Goals for Carvalho and Alija Begovic they've both done quite well in terms of on the wings, if I do ditch the wings. But they are 2 players that are real players, and you all know by now, with me, when youth to go, I like to have a full squad of new gen players by the end of it, so it might be time to get rid of them. Rui Lopes did come in. He cost a lot of money, and he did do quite well, though. Aldo de Schmet did very well in that attacking midfield spot. His only worry for me is that natural fitness, but I think the best one was actually Axel Acosta. He got 13 goals from centre mid. Now, he hasn't exactly developed, which is annoying because he does have a perfectionist personality, and he kind of looks worse than what we anticipated he would at this point. But there we go. Clevis Mustafa, though, has got to be the success story so far of this youth to go, because he come through our youth academy, 2 long spells at Saarbrücken and Hamburg, and he's done very well. Now he's in the first team and he's getting first team minutes. We have been given £50 million to spend. Let's see what happens. Leipzig stole another one of our talents this summer, as this time Noah Banks left for £25 million as another release clause. Just the 3 signings coming in for £56 million as Miguel Lopez from Braga cost us £24 million and looks a good striker. David Blazewski cost us £6.5 million and we loaned him straight out for first team football. And finally, £25 million was spent on Nick Brandt, a Belgian goalkeeper that my scouts rated very highly. Speaking of which, we now have the ability to have 18 scouts in total to keep expanding our search around the world. And in doing so, I've also increased the amount of recruitment focuses to now look all over the different countries in the world and not just in Europe. Tactically, without signing or finding a good enough left wing back, I decided to stick with the same tactic from last season and give it a go for one more year. In terms of the goals that we scored, you can't deny that this tactic is lethal as it was last season, and players like Arenya and Smet were doing very well and benefiting from it. However, the wingers dropped off this season in terms of contributions and it affected our results. Our Bundesliga form had dropped off where we were 5th place by the end of January and Leipzig were annoyingly top. We had done really well, however, in the UEFA Champions League phase, finishing in 5th place, with the highlight being a 4-1 home victory over PSG where Schmidt scored himself a hat-trick. The next 2 months though was where our form changed and we won every game in February and March, including the AC Milan tie in the round of 16 of the Champions League and Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga with a very late winner, meaning that we had climbed all the way to the top of the Bundesliga with 7 games remaining on goal difference. Unfortunately, that's where PSG got their own back and they knocked us out of the Champions League in the quarter-final stage 3-1 on aggregate. But we went into the final 3 league games top by a point and we were in another cup final against Bayern Munich. Shockingly, this is where we hit the worst month in charge as Schalke manager so far, as we completely threw away everything we had built this season, including embarrassing ourselves in the DFB Pokal final, losing 4-0, and only drawing 2 of our final 3 fixtures either side of a loss to rivals Dortmund, throwing away the Bundesliga and allowing Bayern Munich to lift the title. Despite the goals we scored, something needed to change as I look ahead to the summer and season number 8. Season 8 was a transitional season with £21 million in departures, including winger Gabriel Carvalho, who I only managed to sell for £17 million. Huge money was spent though, as we brought in £118 million worth of players. Kevin Day looked to be the perfect centre midfielder to come in from Genk for just over £40 million with very good attributes and only just turning 20 years old. Donny Leonard might just go alongside him in man midfield, as it's another big signing, so we spent £35 million on the midfielder from Frankfurt. Giacomo Sabatelli comes in as our new left wing back with a fairly professional personality and just £15 million from Inter Milan. And Maximo Morandi rounds out the first team players that are coming in as somebody to challenge for that number 10 spot, because we are keeping that role while dropping the wingers into wing backs. However, there is a name on here I have yet to introduce you to. Noah Banks, who left last season. I signed this man here, Ronan Levy, during the January window of last season, just before he actually turned 20 years of age. You can see he turned 22. On the 22nd, he turned 20. We got him from Saint Etienne for £34 million. He played 17 games, actually, and he got 3 assists. He looks very good. He did cost us £34 million, but he does look very good. Resilient personality, and he's 6'5" and can actually jump, which for new gens at centre-back, it's something you can't take for granted, I'll be honest, because, I mean, the passing's low, but just the fact that he can jump and he's 6'5", like, he's already better than half the defenders on this game who will come through as new gens. This season, however, was a strange one. Arenya was still scoring goals, Miguel Lopez and Marin were fighting over that second spot next to him, and the wingbacks Arroyo and Sabatelli were outstanding, with 9 goals and 16 assists from Jose Arroyo and 13 goals and 9 assists from Giacomo Sabatelli. We got to the semi-final of the Champions League where we faced a tough PSG side. In the first leg, we still very much in the tie until we faced them in the away leg, where we broke history as the biggest losing side ever in a UEFA Champions League semi-final, losing 10-0 on the night. And yet somehow in the Bundesliga, we were pulling off big results against our rivals Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, sweeping the league title in style by 6 points. We're at a point as well where I think the move to using wingbacks was just so good. I mean, obviously you knew the numbers, 13 and 9, 9 and 16, but the development on the two players, Jose Arroyo, who did play a little bit at centre-back last season, so he has been playing games, has just developed really well as that in that natural position of a wing-back. You can see the numbers there, the performance as well. And a 7.1 average rating for Sabatelli, who was a breath of fresh air. Not quite as developed as Arroyo yet, which means, I mean, if he's putting in numbers like this already, we can expect to see something better. And if you think he got 13 goals, it's not from penalties or anything. He's got 4 for penalty taking. He cannot take penalties. So we have got a lot to look forward to. And now I'm at the point now, it's sort of like stage 5 or 6 of Youth to Gold, where I'm looking at the team thinking, we could be good enough to challenge, you know. I do, however, have a weird thing in my head that I like Youth to Golds to be fully new gen sides if we do go on and play in the Champions League finals, etc. And we still got, my favourite player for us is still a real player, and Antonio Arena. And I don't know how we're going to replace him, because so far the strikers that we have been playing up front with him, Marin, I don't like him as much. He isn't scoring as many goals. I just don't like the fact his composure is off the ball we've been working on. His composure and his finishing's rather low, despite, you know, him being all right. And Miguel Lopez just doesn't seem to perform. He has the numbers and attributes, fairly professional personality. We're just not getting the numbers in terms of statistics. So I'm a little confused right now. I need to work on finding ourselves a better striker to eventually replace Arena, because 26 goals, 17 assists, stupid numbers. We have got £96 million though. Just a £5 million in player sales, and it was the other winger, Alija Begovic, who left the club. Whereas we spent a good bit of money, £62 million here, but there was others that counted on last season's transfers. We haven't had to deal with this problem for a while, but we've got 5 players who have gone on to last season's transfer budget. They're not anybody who I would say is going to go into the first team. Just a lot of really good youngsters like this guy, Pulido, who's in there. Gabriel from Sporting looks like a decent centre-back. 6'7", 19 jump and reach. I'm literally basing centre backs off of their height now and how if they could jump. This guy from Thailand looks really good as well, going into the on loan straight away. Sabol, who looks like a decent centre back but can't jump, so there's the problem. Once again, we've got Marcelo Rojas, another good goalkeeper. We're picking up so many goalkeepers now. He's being loaned out, so we don't have to worry about him this season. But next season, genuinely might have to stick him in to see if he can progress, because he's good with both feet. I think he has better base attributes than what we currently have in our other defenders. Our scouts went mental for him, as you can see, an A-. He's only 18 as well. Could really be good. Souza is a guy that I think, if we train to be left wing back, might be our best left back, better than Sabatelli, because of that those physical attributes. Sabatelli had a great year last year though, so he's been loaned out for this season, so we don't have to really worry about that yet. These two players though, 71k, 10k. I do love finding bargains, and in Youth to Gold sometimes you can find some great ones. Here's a right wing back in Sani, who comes in for just 10k, and Elvis Zagre, who comes in for a little bit more, who looks like a good attacking midfielder. Now, the only real player, because these guys here are again sort of like either going to be used later on, sent out on loan, or good for the second team. Another one there who's 6'2", but with only 8 jumping reach. What is going on? The only one really that's going to make first team football appearances this season, I think, is Abel Bastos. £33 million, another defender. All around, maybe doesn't look as good as other ones, but with that resolute personality, a high potential. I'm going to lock him into a few... Well, I'm going to lock him in so he plays a lot more games than some of our other centre-backs. He'll fit in quite nicely alongside Levy and Vanderlust and rotate with Clevis Mustafa. I know it's a gem of a midfielder also coming through our youth academy, a professional personality from Lebanon and only 17 years old. Could be a future star, so I put him in the first team available for the under-19s. After last season's title win though, this season was about trying to get back-to-back for the first time, and the surprise factor was the goals, as Arena dropped off and up stepped Marin and De Schmet. Arroyo at right wing back was having another unbelievable season too in the goal contributions. The UEFA Champions League phase was another success story this season, with big wins over Manchester City and Inter Milan. And the Bundesliga title race of Bayern Munich was a really exciting one. With them being our last game of the season and Dortmund being second to last game, I wasn't expecting to see them so soon, but then we clashed with Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and after a 2-2 first leg, they took the lead only for us to be dominant from the half-hour mark. Once we found our feet back in the fixture, and eventually we scored 3 goals to knock them out 5-3 on aggregate. They were taking the advantage in the league, however, going in before our final game against them. We had other goals in mind though, because we found ourselves in the semi-final of the UEFA Champions League with a 1-0 advantage to take home in the second leg against Real Madrid. And herein lies 4, maybe 5 incredibly important games, whether we reach the final or not, as we've also got to play the DFB Pokal final against Hanover. Somehow, in the second leg against Real Madrid, we pulled off a second 1-0 win, meaning we are heading to the Champions League final, where we are going to face Manchester City. The Dortmund League game was a Royals crowning moment though, as the right wing back scored 2 goals in a magnificent 3-1 win. Meaning, if we beat Bayern on the final day, we would be crowned champions. And we once again got the only goal of the game at home to steal the title from them. Amazing how the fixtures turned out, getting to play them at home on the final day, with us being just a point behind them in the league, making this season an unforgettable one for the fans either way. What would make it even better is a treble, but the game against Hanover went to a penalty shootout after finishing 0-0, but with a penalty missed in the fixture itself, we didn't go into the shootout very confident, and it somehow cost us. Although I am really confused because this penalty here was in the game, 55th minute. Then we went into the penalty shootout and I thought, oh, that ended quite quick. I thought we had another penalty. Didn't think nothing of it until I've come back to collect the footage, and I was right. Because, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 penalties taken for Hanover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 penalties taken for Schalke, and we only missed 1 each. So I don't understand why we weren't allowed to take a 6th penalty. I smell corruption. And so I was really hoping the UEFA Champions League final against City also didn't go to a penalty shootout, which we were in luck with, because we managed to score off of a mistake rather early on into the match, and we even managed to double our lead early in the second half too, putting us 2-0 up, and an exciting time for us Schalke fans until the pressure was put on by City, who got one back, and then wouldn't you know it, a 92nd minute attack led to an equalising goal, which took the game to extra time and penalties. So the dreaded penalty shootout after what smelt like massive corruption in the DFB Pokal final against potentially the biggest cheaters in football if they are found guilty of all 115 charges. But calm down, City fans, it's just a joke. And at the end of the day, my luck in these finals and shootouts especially has not been favourable. And striker Marin stepped up only to miss the penalty, and Manchester City are your Champions League winners. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely devastating because we've had a fantastic season, so for that to be the ending, 2 penalty shootouts away from a treble, it's gutting, especially because of the dramatic fashion that we won the Bundesliga facing Bayern Munich on the final day. It is disappointing, but never mind. The positives of this season, though, outweigh the negatives, I think. A league title win, some huge development from some players. Aldo de Schmed has been our best player. He scored the most goals this season. Marin, he has scored 22 goals. I don't really know how. Antonio Reina's dropped off, and I don't know why. He was getting like 25 goals a season. Now it's only 16. Jose Arroyo's getting 12 and 16. That's absolutely fantastic. Miguel Lopez, it's just a complete disaster. I don't know how he isn't scoring more goals. I really don't. Sabatelli, 10 and 12. Yet again. Really good stuff from him. The development of our centre midfielders. Now, Rui Lopez looks better than what our scouts are suggesting he is. Just a 3-star there. But Kevin Day, yeah, you can see why Kevin Day was rated so highly and why he cost me so much money. It's always kind of a sign that they are really good, isn't it? Donny Leonard has also developed quite well. Not quite as good as Kevin Day, but still quite well. I'm disappointed, however, in Abel Bastos because I gave him game time. He's got a resolute personality, which means he's got good professionalism. Just no development whatsoever, it seems, across his attributes, considering he played 40 games of football this season. Whereas Clevis Mustafa, who come for our youth academy, and has been in the first team for a few seasons, I'll give him that, 23 years of age now, has developed quite nicely with the same sort of professionalism that he would have as Abel Bastos. Now, Ali Altaya is a man that I am tempted to chuck in a couple of seasons' time. He's still only 18. We've been giving him under-19s football, but he has made so many appearances off the bench that it might be smart to actually use him going forward. You can see he's played 28 games for the youth academy, but he played in the league. He came off the bench 13 times, and in the Champions League 10 times. So he made 24 appearances off the bench and has done quite well and has developed really well. It could be a case that we give him a bit of a gamble. Well, we take a gamble and put him in the first team at some point. Now, money-wise, going into next season, £88 million. But this is now the point where we might not necessarily need to spend it because we've got so many good players lined up, ready to take the positions that we might end up selling. Season 10 was our biggest transfer window yet, with £56 million going out, including Orenya on loan. Fujimoto, our old number one, also leaves for £10 million. A youth academy player was sold for £15 million, and Blazewski was sold for £22 million profit. But Ali Ataya was given a loan for first team football at Kaiserslautern. It was a big £132 million spent on the ins, though, that would probably grab the headlines. Two of them were strikers, who the most money was spent on, as Landry Boris comes in from Cologne for £47.5 million. But the riskiest was Eddie Edwards, a Canadian international who was playing at Braga. He looks really good, but he did cost me £67 million. With those two up front, our side has so many good options in every position, with Rojas coming in as the new number one spot for now. The strikers were combining well. Landry Boris became more of a supplier as he had 20 goal contributions by February, while Eddie Edwards tended to score more goals himself. We were flying though outside of the DFB Pokal, where we were eliminated in the first round. We cruised on through to April, where the biggest month lay ahead. A quarter-final with Real Madrid either side of the Leipzig match, and Bayern Munich to end the month off, who are currently 9 points behind us in the Bundesliga. After a 1-0 win in the first leg against Real Madrid, they came firing back in the second, knocking us out with only 10 men in the UEFA Champions League with a 3-1 second leg win. In between that fixture, we absolutely stuffed Vincent Kompany's Leipzig 7-1, which was pleasing. And after a back and forth with Bayern Munich going 1-0 up, only to find ourselves 2-1 down, we pulled it back and scored the winner to take away another 3 points. But it wasn't just that. That win also crowned us as champions at their stadium with 3 games remaining. In the end, we won the league by 12 points. Happy days. We had a great campaign, only losing 3 fixtures throughout the whole season. One of them was Hoffenheim, right in between Leipzig and Bayern Munich. But we got the job done. The player statistics were quite funny, really, because we were so far down on the goals, even though our team scored the most goals. Eddie Edwards got 13 goals, which was 6 behind Schaefer. Lars Schaefer, who is Bayern Munich's new striker. Look how good he is, just 22 years of age. Aldo De Schmidt and Landry Boris also down there with only 11. And yet, if you have a look at the team statistics, we scored the most goals. We had 94 total goals this season, which was 24 more than Bayern Munich. So, I mean, we spread it out for sure. You can see with the team that managed to do it, the amount of goals that came from all over the pitch, which was great to see. Landry Boris, only 14 goals, but 13 assists. Did very well. Has grown, has developed. Same as Eddie Edwards. 18 goals is not amazing. 9 assists, has grown and developed. We are still looking for that striker, just like Antonio Orenya, who is unfortunately leaving the club. Now, he's going to Arsenal. I don't think it's for £70 million, but it is quite a lot of money. We'll see that as we look at next season's transfer budget. But Aldo De Schmidt is continuing to be a really good asset for us. Donny Leonard, again, another really good player. Kevin Day, exactly the same. There's a lot of interest coming in for those 2 players specifically. And with the likes of Ali Altaya knocking about and getting better, I am tempted to cash in because it is youth to gold, however. We do need to bring in that money. Sousa's a player that I might look at also bringing in because I actually think he's a better player than Sabatelli is. Giacomo Sabatelli, you can see physically very good, technically not so much. And yet his output's still decent. But imagine if we had a player like Sousa, who's technically probably a better player, slightly younger, can develop. If we make him a better left wing back with a model citizen personality and still good potential. He's nowhere near. We could be looking at a world-class left wing back there. Now, recruitment-wise, for next season, we got £124 million. We won't be spending that. A controversial transfer window maybe, as Kevin Day was sold to Manchester City for £97 million in all upfront fees and £55 million profit from what we paid for him. And Arania only goes for £17 million, but it's still profit. And only £31 million was spent, and it was all on players that won't feature in the first team right now. They're all developmental players, but this is the best stage of the youth to gold. Because our finances are ridiculously healthy and we have so much in the transfer budget after walking the Bundesliga title at our rival stadium last season. It's also a transitional season as we look to grow both Aliatea into a centre-mid first-team player as well as Souza at left wing-back for this season 11. This season though, Landry Boris went from a supplier to goal scorer, hitting 19 goals by the end of January with Eddie Edwards close behind him with 14 himself. Souza was still finding his feet at left wing-back, but Arroyo wasn't messing around with 12 assists already by the end of the Champions League phase at right wing back. And that was a Champions League phase with some big wins over Liverpool and only one loss, finishing in the top 8 yet again. It was a tight one at the top of the Bundesliga though, with Bayern Munich however just a point behind us. But a 3-1 win against them in February with Eddie Edwards bagging 2 goals and assisting Arroyo, who got assist himself. And Eddie Edwards then got himself sent off in the UEFA Champions League quarter-finals against Manchester United in the first leg, which I thought was going to cost us, until we pulled off a 1-0 win with a banging goal from Aliatea, who also scored the first goal in the second leg, which was a 2-1 victory, putting us in yet another semi-final. With Arsenal in the semi-final and our last 3 games being Leverkusen, Dortmund and Leipzig, plus another DFB Pokal Cup final, is set up to be another cracking final month, with Munich losing and now 5 points behind us. We unfortunately met our match at the Emirates as they battered us 3-0 in the first leg of the semi-final. And in the second leg, we could only get away with a 1-1 draw and yet another quality goal from right wing back Arroyo. So we're out of the Champions League, but it's 3 wins from 3 in our remaining Bundesliga fixtures, and it's another dominant league title win for Schalke, as we finish 7 points clear of Bayern Munich and we go into the DFB Pokal final. Either way, we were on form and could be a nightmare for our opponents Hamburg, and we set the standard from 20 seconds into the game as we score from kickoff of the match and Boris found Leonard to make it 1-0. The game finished 5-0 in the end as we lift the DFB Pokal and Boris gets himself 2 goals and a man of the match, but we're still chasing that Champions League trophy. We're at a point now where I think it's just luck whether we win the Champions League or not, because I mean the Bundesliga, we kind of got it done for the last few seasons now, sort of winning the lead either comfortably or successfully. That's 4 in a row that we've won in the Bundesliga. We've won enough DFB Pokals and we're getting to the semi-finals very regularly in the Champions League. So it is just luck, I think, just to get it over the line. I think the system's good. Landry Boris has turned into an absolute demon. Look how good he is within a couple of seasons. That's why we paid £47 million for him. Like, it was obvious he was going to be good. Those are the ones that they're not really gambles. Eddie Edwards might be a bit of a gamble still. I mean, development-wise, he's got there. He's just not exactly bringing the goals as much as I hope. He's got 19 this season with 10 assists. Miguel Lopez, I actually put him out on loan because he was complaining about first-team football. I don't know whether to sell him or not. You got 21 goals this season. Could we sell him for good money for that? I don't know, because there's enough like strikers that we got in and around the team to sort of fill in when Boris and Eddie Edwards aren't available, or to come off the bench for him. So I am tempted to do that. Nilsinho's been coming off the bench every now and then. We've still got Marin knocking around. He's made 45 appearances off the bench. Just not quite there yet. I want a third good striker who will score goals to sort of like be like, okay, we're good. But at the minute, we haven't really got that. Aliatea, the youth academy player we played in midfield, has definitely developed really well this season. Nowhere near Kevin Day standards, but still good enough within one season. And he's only 20 years old. So we're happy with that. And Souza, now that he's a natural left wing back, I think will benefit from it as a full season next year, because he's still got 14 assists and 5 goals this season, even though he was trying to learn the position itself. There's no doubt about it though. The best player potentially on our team is Arroyo. because look how good he already is, and the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, if you're looking at this guy's career, only 8 assists in the Bundesliga this season, but 17 across the whole campaign. 10 last season, 10 the season before that, 8 the season before that. Playing very well at right wing back. We've got loads of money, of course, but we're not going to spend it because we don't need to. We're at the point in Youth to Gold where we're just filling in a couple of places for the future. This summer, I focused on loaning as many players as I could to try and find them first team football to create the next batch of players to integrate into my first team. I also spent £61 million myself, spread across a number of players, most of who won't be in the first team, but some might feature sparingly, including this Norwegian who is only loaned back to Molde until their season finishes, and he'll be joining us permanently in January. Sitki Gundogu is a player that I plan to use in rotation for my midfield, while also making him available for the under-19s. There would be new players featuring this season from previous windows, such as Miguel Ruiz, who we signed a few seasons back from Marbella for just 325k, as would the Thai attacking midfielder we signed recently too, and Nikola Hadrovic, who was a player who came through the youth academy here at Schalke. This season was going exactly how we hoped. Landry Boris was on fire with the goals, and bearing a couple of injuries, we had great support with the amount of talented youngsters who filled in, including Miguel Lopez, who has his redemption arc to fill, coming back on loan after a few poor performances, as he scored some goals while Eddie Edwards is out injured. And while things were going well in both the league and the Champions League as we entered the new year, January was where the disaster happened. We unfortunately lost both our best defender in Vanderlik and our best striker in Landry Boris, who both signed for Premier League clubs for huge release clause fees, which isn't a bad thing considering the Youth to Gold is about selling players for peak profit, and with both of them costing a lot of money to bring in, it still made £124 million profit from these two transfers to Schalke. But we have a UEFA Champions League to win, in which we finish in the top 8 of the qualification of the league phase. And it definitely affected our league form losing these two players, dropping 5 points in 2 games in the Bundesliga and allowing Dortmund to take the lead in a 3-horse title race. Of course, replacements were already at the club though, with Miguel Lopez being around and on form. Eddie Edwards was back from injury and backed up by Akayun, a striker that came from the youth academy and has developed really well. He had been scoring many goals for the second team for a lot of years too. The Vanderlik replacement came from 2 Spanish defenders, Miguel Ruiz, who we brought into the first team this season, and Ruben Gomez, who I promoted from the second team around September because of the injuries, not realising how well he had developed. He was another player who we signed about 4 seasons ago from Almeria and had been a key figure for the second team. The round of 16 tie in the UEFA Champions League with Lyon went as planned thanks to a win in both legs and finishing the tie on form as 7-3 winners. Soon after this, we defeated Dortmund 1-0 in the Bundesliga and the title race swung back in our favour. And with 7 games to go, we are 3 points clear. Back in the UEFA Champions League, Inter Milan was in front of us next in the quarterfinals, and the home leg went in our favour too, winning 3-1. But in Milan, it was an even better performance, a huge 4-1 win, totaling a 7-2 aggregate score. We continued to dominate in the Bundesliga and just needed 1 more point to lift the Bundesliga title above Bayern Munich, who we have next in the Champions League. An away leg came first, a match I was apprehensive as to whether my side could pick up a result at all, and again because of injuries, but somehow we pulled off a magical result, with Leonard scoring a brace of goals and we secured a huge advantage to take into the second leg. Not only that, but we had our main rivals Dortmund in the final of the DFB Pokal. So with the treble well and truly on, a loss to Leverkusen in the league next delayed our title lift. Only for 1 game until our home fixture to St. Pauli, which worked in our favour as we beat them 4-0 in front of our own fans. And we ended the season 8 points clear of Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Speaking of which, we defeated at home in the second leg of the Champions League 1-0, which sends us to our second Champions League final. Before that though, we go to the DFB Pokal final and Dortmund take the lead early on, looking to ruin our treble hype before our Champions League final even starts. However, my side did not give up and Leonard pulled us back level before we took the lead, scoring the final goal of the game, winning 2-1 after a fantastic team goal when both Lopez's combined to find Sabatelli. So with the DFB Pokal win, it's now the UEFA Champions League final time and we pretty much have a fully strengthened lineup. Champions League final time then. Now I think we do have a good enough team to win it, but with Landry Boris and of course Vanderlik gone, I mean they've got a guy called Dan in the midfield, so It could go either way against this Arsenal side. Arsenal recently dumped us out of the competition, so I'm looking for a bit of payback against them. That would be nice. But this Schalke team, we've already made one Champions League final against a Premier League side, Manchester City. Went to penalty shootout. That was really frustrating, to be honest. This one, let's hope we get a different result. And we are underway in the Champions League final. And we got kickoff too. There's an advantage. We've scored from many kickoffs in our time. It's not today, though. Although, we have a highlight in the second minute of the match. Let's see what we can do with it. I do enjoy this three at the back style of formation. We've used a lot of three at the backs. Look at the space that you can get from it. Ataya's found Edwards. He might be off. Back to Sousa. It's 1-0 already. The linesman hasn't put his flag up. It's actually a goal. Come on. We trusted Sousa instead of Sabatelli, who's been playing way more this season, and it might have paid off. Eddie Edwards, lovely hold-up play. He does miss his old partner up front, but he's still finding guys like Sousa. Even Harry Potter himself, Daniel Radcliffe, could not make the saving goal. 1-0 already to Schalke. Quarter of an hour gone. Clevis Mustafa from the Youth Academy. We've got a few Youth Academy players, not only in the first team, but in the whole squad, which I love doing in a Youth to Gold. Nothing means more. Now, what a ball by one of them to find Eddie Edwards, who should have scored. He's missed the target. He was in the 6-yard box, and he's missed the target. Eddie Edwards should be scoring that. That is a massive opportunity to go 2-0 up. I don't think we're done seeing this highlight either. This is still the same highlight. We fouled a player in their half, and it's still going on. Gomez heads it back to Royas. That was a brave header back. I'll give him that. We have trusted the two Spaniards this year. With Van der Ligt leaving, I thought our defense could have gone just completely backwards. But those two guys have been amazing. Ataya has also been amazing. From the Youth Academy, what a pick-up for a Royal. First time cross, and Aldo de Schmet. That is a wonderful goal. I'm a big fan of that goal. Lovely little feet in the middle by Ataya. Finds a Royal with a absolutely perfect pass, who volleys it first time into the path of Aldo de Schmet. Beautiful football from Schalke. Now you really fancy our name being on that trophy. 2-0 up, and defensively, we've been solid this season. Levi de Souza. Already starting quite... Oh, well, that's poor. Oh, Vitor Roque's in. Oh, I've just been bigging up the defence as well, and they've scored. I've just been bigging up the defence, and they've gone and scored. Well, that's a problem. To be fair, it's an unbelievably good time run and pass into his feet. I mean, I don't blame Gomez for that at all. You don't expect your team to lose a ball there and then have Vitor Roque running in behind you with an absolute perfect ball over the top. 2-1, game on. Well, they've had the better of possession for sure. 65% compared to our 35%. But shots and obviously chances have definitely gone in our favour. A low XG for you XG nerds, considering it is a 2-1. I feel like it should be higher considering Eddie Edwards missed from the 6-yard box. And he just missed the goal. It wasn't even saved. He just actually missed the goal completely. It might have even gone out for a throw, and I can't remember. It was that poor of a shot. Despite that, he still has a 7.3 rating so far in this game. All right, 70th minute. I think I need to start making some changes. I'm a little bit worried for some of the fitnesses. I mean, Miguel Lopez is struggling slightly. So let's bring on Akiyun, who's been very good for us. Again, another player from the Youth Academy. He's 25 years of age, hasn't really found first-team football, but playing for the second team, he's developed quite nicely. Lacks a bit of pace, a little bit of aggression, but he can certainly finish. Great technique. Good off the ball. Great composure. So he can find the net, which is great. Now, the rest of the team, I mean, Leddit is kind of having a bad game and playing poorly. We could bring on Lopez. I think we bring on Lopez. Lopez has been in and out of the team for a number of seasons. As like a first-team player, Rui Lopez. We paid quite a lot of money for him, but he's always been in and around it. And possibly Aldo de Schmet, although he is having a good game. Let's keep Aldo de Schmet on the pitch for a little bit longer. Maybe we make that change and bring him off in sort of, well, about 5 minutes time now, because it's going so fast as the highlights dry up until now, and it is in our box. We're in our half. Akiyun He's good on the ball. There it is. Lovely little pass to Ataya, who finds Eddie Edwards in space in between the midfield and the defense. Sousa now is out on the left. There's another ball back to Ataya, who instead of time wasting, finds Sousa again. It's a lovely pass. And it's another miss by Eddie Edwards, although this time it did take a deflection and it's gone out for a corner, which we will not see. So I think I'm going to make that change now. Aldo de Schmet, we're going to bring him off for Shrinork, who, I mean, he looks great, isn't he? He is the Thai player that we signed for a very cheap cost. Very good player as well. Arroyo, actually, let's bring him off. He's got a bit of an injury. We've got Hadrovic, again, another player from the youth academy. That's 4 on the pitch at least, isn't it? Mustafa, Hadrovic, Akayun, and Ataya, all from the youth academy. 4 players who come through the Schalke youth academy. They're not world-class players, but they're the Mark Nobles of this team. They're the ones who know what it means to be a Schalke fan growing up, and have gone through the financial trouble that this club has found themselves within the last 5 years in real life, the relegation, the inability to get themselves automatically promoted. They know what this means for Schalke, who are now the European Cup winners, the Champions League winners. They are going to be picking up the biggest trophy in club football for their home club. Kind of. Some of them are Turkish, but maybe they grew up in Germany. And here we go. Lifting the trophy as Champions League winners, thanks to the Youth to Gold method. In a year, we sold over £200 million worth of players, including our 2 best players, potentially, in Van der Lijk, and of course, our striker, whose name is escaping me now. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy it. If you're looking for something else to watch, my dad recently took me on in a rebuild where we went against each other using Arsenal and Manchester United from a retro database. This is Ferguson versus Wenger, Patrick Vieira versus Roy Keane, and to be honest, well, it turned into Ronaldinho versus R9, because those are the type of players that we signed for those clubs. That's on screen for you right now to select.